Tomorrow, as many of you know, they're going to test the emergency broadcast system. Um, Lots of conspiracy theories going around about it. Basically, what's going to happen is they're going to send out some kind of tone through the cell towers to everybody's cell phone, um, claiming to be testing the system. So everybody is pretty suspicious of that in and of itself. But I wanted to do a little digging on my own, so off down the rabbit hole I went. The last time that the United States did a census was in 2020. It was from April until October of 2020, so that was right in the middle of the pandemic. Um, so even if the numbers then were accurate, they're no longer accurate now. Somebody who filled out the census at the beginning of that time period may or may not still be alive at the end of that time period. And so it's not accurate either way. But the statistics of that last census that was held seem to be pretty inaccurate to me anyway, because the increase from 2010 census to the 2020 census was 7.4%. And that number is the smallest increase, the second smallest. That percentage was the second smallest increase from census to census in the history of them doing census. But the total net increase was the sixth largest. How can you set records on the largest and the smallest at the same time? So clearly it's flawed. So theoretically, if you're going to test a system, you have to get some kind of response back from the system, or back from the test. So what's happening in this test is they're sending out a frequency to everybody's cell phone with a notification that we will have to dismiss. So the only way that they would get any data to see if it worked or not, or make sure that it worked for, everybody, is for there to be some kind of a signal that it has connected with the phone. So basically, it'll just bounce off and go back successful. Now, they've also got to have some kind of way to figure out if it's not successful. There's got to be some kind of an error message. So there's one of two ways that it can send an error message. It can send an error message if the phone is no longer active. So like if the cell phone is no longer active and the connection is not successful at all, then that could be one type of failure on the system's behalf. Or it could fail because the phone is on, but nobody hit dismiss because the phone itself was not on. So the phone plan is active, the phone number is active, there's something for it to connect with, but nobody hit dismissed on the notification, so therefore it did not get seen, or basically indicating that that phone was off. So pretty much everybody that I've talked to or asked about it mainstream has looked at me like I had 5 heads and didn't have any idea what I was talking about. But every single one of my friends who is either on a path of spiritual awakening or a conspiracy theorist knows all about it and has an opinion on it. So that tells me that pretty much everybody is going to be going about their business as normal. They'll have their phones on. There'll be a small percentage of the population, I'm sure, that their phone is dead or off for a meeting or whatever. But for the most part, everybody will be going about business as normal. Now, there's a lot of people in the conspiracy theory community and in the spiritual community who are saying that the frequency that's going to be sent out is going to be harmful. You may or may not be aware that everything puts off a frequency, an energetic vibrational frequency, indicating its properties pretty much. And so they can actually manipulate brain waves with certain frequencies. That's what they were doing with the MK Ultra, is influencing or altering brainwave frequencies with external sound waves or vibrational frequencies. And so there's been some concern that maybe the tone that they're sending out is going to be harmful. So there's a lot of people saying to just have your phone off. Well, I have come to find that everything that this government does, everything that they do has a very, it's a sleight of hand. Almost every single time there's something major going on like this, it is a sleight of hand. So, what motivation would they have for doing a test that separates people based on their opposition of the current systems that control the world? If they wanted an accurate count of both sides of the party lines, and I'm not talking about Democrat and Republican, I'm talking about woke and not woke. So if you know, you know. But if they wanted an accurate count of those who trusted the government and had no idea what was going on, aka the people who are still asleep to the manipulation of said government, and those who were eyes wide open, seeing exactly what's going on, what better way than a forced contact with everybody's cell phone? Everybody 18 and older pretty much has a cell phone these days. So, a forced connection with all citizens 18 and older. Another thing, they're doing this in the middle of the school day. So there's going to be a lot of kids that are in school. And my daughter told me earlier that they have to have their phones off. So that's another factor in here. The children are more connected still to source. So they got a leg up on people who are still sleeping to all of this too. But I digress. The people who have their phone on and receive this alert and dismiss it from their phones will be the ones who have either no idea that it's coming or who know that it's coming but still trust the government to not be doing some fuck shit. The other group of people that are going to have their phones off, and so no one is going to hit dismiss, is going to be conspiracy theories, which rednecks is a subcategory of that because y'all don't trust the government either, and people who are spiritually awake, who know what's going on in the entire world right now. And then there will be another category of people who have, the phone number has been turned off or whatever. For whatever reason, that service is not active. And so that will probably send back some kind of signal that that's no longer appropriate phone number to use, so that it can be deleted from the list or whatever. I'm not sure how that works with phone numbers and like maybe just connecting straight with a chip. I haven't really looked into how all that works, but those are the three options. Any way you put it, whether they're collecting it intentionally or not, the information that they receive from this test tomorrow will show them the ratio of sleeping to awake in this country. It's also interesting to note that it's going to be taking place on October the 4th. That would be 10/4. And that's the call signal for an affirmative response, which is what our phones will be sending back to them.